Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Carter Show. Ash Brent, Commander, in the Atson studio this morning on what's shaping up to be a pretty nice Friday. Glad you're all here, whether you're on Magic, the Mothership, 95.9 FM. Welcome. The No Bull Network, one of 10 net stations in and around South Texas. Welcome. If you would like to be a part of the show, you guys can call us at 361 894 4020. Chime in on any topic or raise one. We'll chime in then. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, thanks for joining us, and we appreciate your interaction in the comments. As always, let's see who's on the podium this morning.
Ricky King, Scott Tomko, Mark Zepeda join us at the top of the hour, followed by Wendy Hughes Garcia, Bobby Leister, Mark Kurtz, P. Strauss, Tammy Keeling, Linda Christ, there's Junior, good morning, buddy, Greg Garcia, Monica Jost, David Glass, the regulars, and the elite. How many other people can say that they have a group of regulars that are also the elite listeners of their program? You get lots of people, long-time listener, first-time caller, but are they?
Yeah.
These folks are always here, so very thankful.
Good morning, Marina.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. I did some work this week in my yard and utilized some chemicals and pesticides and things that I've gotten from, let's see, either Brent's mic needs to come up or Ash's needs to go down. Well, I can do both. I am at the con, the third son of the con. So I've got that.
I agree.
But I'll tell you that Deerland Feed has everything you need loud and clear. 78 degrees in Victoria, Texas, under mostly clear skies with a high today of 97.
Nice.
Stephanie Conti checking in.
Lisa Poole's in, John Anderson. So where do we start? Let's just get this one out of the way. The Wade and First Day Bank of Louise Astros update.
Astros get run ruled. Where were they? On the road?
At home.
18-3 by the hapless, useless California Angels. It's interesting to me that Lampert started. He was really kind of a AAA guy, and he came up and he pitched really well early on. And then yesterday he got rocked a little bit, but Dawn made the call, so be ready for this. Dawn is never wrong about baseball personnel moves. The king, whoever what his first name is, doesn't matter because he won't be with the big club much longer.
Brian?
He goes in and, is that his name?
I think so.
He is a spare. The guy comes in, he gives up a 2-run double, hits a guy, gives up a 2-run double, hits another guy, gives up a run, RBI single. This guy is a dolt, and it's time for him to go away. So Lampert gets the loss because apparently he gave up. I counted 8 runs that King gave up in a matter of minutes. So I don't know exactly when.
King gave up 5.
Earned. Yeah, I think he gave up 8 overall.
Yeah, Lambert got tagged with 9 earned runs.
Right, so those were his runs that were on the bases when King gave up the 2-run double. At any rate, I counted 8 runs that King was involved in, and he inherited some runners from Lampert. But at the end of the day, it's just one game. But
yeah,
I don't know. Is my mic working? Yes, my mic's working, Ricky. I'm good.
Yeah.
I can hear me. Cody, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm good.
But we were laughing at the Mariners dropping 22 runs or getting 22 runs dropped on them by the Brewers. 18 by the useless California LA Angels of Anaheim. That's embarrassing. That's way worse.
If it would have been a Little League game, they would have stopped it after the 4th.
Oh,
and I guess except for the fact, because I just answered my own thought question,
What's a thought question?
Well, I mean, I just like a thought that was a question for me. It's like, well, I wonder why they don't run rule. It says that I'm quiet and Ash is hot. I don't understand.
I don't know.
About it.
Okay. At any rate, I guess the reason they don't run rule professional games is people paid so much to be there. It's not that there was any hope of the Astros actually making a comeback in that game.
Well, and they're pros. They don't need. I mean, you know what? If you're going to be bad enough on any given day as a pro to lose 18-3, you deserve the shame.
You deserve to get beat. You know, the walk of shame.
Yeah. I mean, they brought the Wade kid in to pitch the final inning or so just because it was so bad.
Wade Jr.?
Yep. He pitched the final inning.
It is amazing to me at this that, like, so you go back to when we were kids, like Doug Drabick. You know, of course, he was a great pitcher, won the Cy Young, and still is the only number ever retired at U of H. But Drabick was a guy that when he wasn't pitching, he was catching. And if he wasn't catching, he was playing shortstop. And he was just the best baseball player on the field. I've never understood why at the big league level, most of the guys that play in the big leagues probably pitched at some point because they were probably the best athlete. You see it all the time. He was all-state in basketball, all-state in football, ran track, and was drafted by the Chicago Cubs. You know, they're just the best athletes. And I've never understood why, Ricky, I think it's just you that can't hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I just hold out the phone and listen.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it amazes me that there's nobody on the team that can go up there and run it up faster than 65 miles an hour. There ought to be people on that team that could throw it, you know, in the 80s very easily.
Well, they haven't pitched for probably since high school.
Still, Carlos Correa, you know, throws it 105 across the infield. J-Dub checking in from the YYC. There's Bruce.
Hey, J-Dub. Yeah, but do you want your starting left fielder, right fielder? I mean, Wade's playing a lot of outfield right now for the Astros. Do you want him to blow his arm out on the mound in a mop-up role?
No, I agree 100%. And
you
know that you're not at that level. Wade knows that he's not, you know, adding value to the team as a reliever.
No.
He's just there to get the ball in play.
Exactly. No relation, by the way. But here's the scary part, and you and I actually kind of sort of prognosticated this before that series with the Angels.
Not only that, we kind of predicted it.
That too.
Yeah.
I don't know that it gets any easier this weekend hosting the A's.
No, the A's, another team.
You know, even though they're worse than the Angels and they've lost 4 in a row, these are the teams that you have to be beating. And right now the Astros are playing worse ball than the worst teams in the American League, in the worst division in all of baseball.
So you're saying we have a chance?
That's right.
That's the only reason we have a chance is we're in the worst division of baseball. Because if we were 500 in any other division, we wouldn't be leading it. We'd be 9 games back at first.
There you go. So are we still, what are we now, tied with the Rangers?
No, I think we're 1 game up.
Did they lose last night?
They won, but I don't think they may not have played yesterday.
Oh, okay.
We might have had a game in hand.
Game in hand. It's the only thing they have in hand.
Careful.
Let's see. AL West.
No, Rangers beat the Nationals last night, 2-0. So.
And the Rangers are still 1 game back.
Yeah.
There you have it. So that is the Astros depressing update. Reminding you, if you're an Astros fan, you can always dial, what is it?
911?
No, that would be an
811. No, that's the dig. I don't know.
Maybe that is the right number.
988, I think, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look up.
I don't actually know what you want, or I would be glad to look it up.
Well, we've gotten so used to operating without you.
998. No, 988. I was right. 988.
You were right. You never said that.
That's the
Yeah, I did. It was the third. I think it was the third one I said.
There you have it.
After 411 and 811.
There you have it. 988, the suicide hotline. If you're an Astros fan, you can dial. In fact, I think that would be, it's a 24/7 thing, right? Somebody's there to answer your call. You go, hi, I'm an Astros fan. I need to talk to somebody. Somebody do that and record that, and we'll put it on, because you're taking away a valuable asset from resource from other people that may need it. No, bless their hearts, that number doesn't ring as often as you would think. It should ring more. Yeah, Mark Kurtz, solid point. Jacob deGrom did reach the 2,000 strikeout mark last night, and it always amazes me. He did it. Cody, see who else got 2,000 strikeouts quicker than Jacob deGrom. deGrom, he got 2,000 last night, became the second fewest number of starts to do so. You know, 2 weeks ago, a guy got his 1,000th strikeout, and that's a big milestone. deGrom has 2,000, which is a big milestone. And then you realize that he's about a little under 40% of the way to Nolan Ryan's unreachable mark of over 5,000.
Does deGrom? Do you think deGrom gets to 3,000 in his career?
I don't know. How old a man is he? Nowadays, you've got to constantly look at their health. And plus, when you only pitch, when a successful outing is, deGrom gave us 5 innings.
Yeah.
If a guy goes 6, if a guy's down in the 70s or 80s in his pitch count and somehow he goes 7 innings, that's an amazing guy. Somewhere along the way, 100 pitches became a milestone. Nolan Ryan routinely, because he was wild early on, Nolan Ryan routinely threw 200 pitches a night.
All right, so deGrom is 38 years old.
So no, he will not reach 3,000 strikeouts.
He won't get to 2,200.
Yeah, that's 5 more years at 200 per.
Chris Sale holds the record by inning, and Randy Johnson holds the record by games.
Do you have those numbers? How many innings did Sale? Do you have relative?
Sale has 1626 innings.
deGrom did it in how many innings?
1660 and a third.
Okay, so they're relative. Sale's right. A great pitcher.
Randy Johnson did this in 262 games, and
that's a lot. So Randy Johnson averaged, let's see, 300 to get 2,000, like almost probably a little over 7 strikeouts an outing.
Yeah, and then deGrom did it in 272 games, so 10 more games.
So there you go. There's enough of a sample there that around 280 games and around 1,700 innings, if you've got 2,000 strikeouts, you're a pretty good pitcher. Let's take a quick break. I see Clayton Helt checking in. That's White Wing Materials. 920 Sand. 920 Sand for White Wing Materials. You may need topsoil that's weedless. Nothing worse than putting soil on your yard and having to come back and put weed and feed on it. Reach out to Clayton Helt's group at 920 Sand. They've got aggregate, they've got gravel. They can help you get whatever you need in that space. 920 Sand. Chesapeake Furniture.
Make your order now and have them deliver it when it cools off a little bit. But get in the queue.
That's right. Right. Yes, John Paul, Randy Johnson did hit a bird. I saw a guy hit a bird the other day. He was at Pebble Beach playing number 7, the famed par 3 that's down the hill. I hit a gap wedge there into the bunker, got up and down, no problem. But this guy hits a wedge, whack, hits a seagull. Of course, it doesn't kill it. The bird falls to the ground. The guy's looking for his ball, But the bird falls to the ground. It's flopping around. Seagulls are just rats with wings. Don't feel bad for the seagull. Easily dismissible bird.
Poor seagull.
Chesapeake Furniture saying Come in this weekend and see why you just always do better at Chestnut. Chestnut and Love make your house a home. They're the best. They've been there for over 100 years, over 85 years in their current location. Palace Bingo, inviting you to the old bowling alley. Go on out there and support 7 local charities while you have lunch at the L&L Grill or dinner at the L&L Grill. And pizza, shrimp baskets, salads.
Yeah, it's Friday. They'll have fish tonight.
Oh, it'll be great. No, it is a good spot. L&L Grill at Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Paravito Wellness, today is the day to beat Lisa Poole in. For all the meals that haven't been bought this week, they're still fresh. Because they are preservative-free, now's the time to go grab them at half off. Put them in the freezer, whip them out when you need them. They're great in an air fryer. Highly recommend you get by Para.
Never tried that. I'll have to try that.
They are
Take
great.
them out of the package first.
Yes, please. Do not put the cellophane in. Now, I leave them in the plastic tray and put that whole tray right into the air fryer.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Oh, it doesn't. I mean, it gets a little mushy, but it doesn't melt. Now, the cellophane on top wouldn't melt.
Have you ever heard of CFCs, Brent?
Yeah. What?
Chlorofluorocarbon.
Do you think that this eye on the back of my head is odd?
Yes, I do.
I will tell you something. It's a public service announcement because I just had a flashback to something I did that was dumb. And I'd be curious. It's okay for you to tell me in the comments, like, duh, or you should have known that. That's okay. You can tell me that. But I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that once when I was in college, I took a hard-boiled egg and I put it in the microwave. I didn't want to eat it cold. I do now. I eat them cold, and this is part of the reason. I put it in the microwave and I zapped it for like 30 seconds just to take the chill off. Well, without knowing it, and I can tell you the physics of it, there's Cody Helt checking in too. Hi, Cody. The yolk and the egg white are completely separated when you boil it. There is no connection between the yolk and the egg white. The yolk is just encapsulated inside the egg. Well, that space between them essentially is a vacuum, okay? Because there's no air in there. Well, when you heat it up, it wants to expand. The egg it was not in there long enough to explode. But when I took a bite of the egg, boom! And I'm talking about egg went all over the kitchen, and it immediately, like, flash burned the inside of my lips. I'm talking about, like, I was like, what happened? I thought I'd gotten shot. And there was egg all over my kitchen. And I looked like, you remember when Jamie Foxx used to do Wanda on, he's like, you talk like that, I felt like my face had exploded. And I had to really try to figure out. Yeah, Junior says that's the first time you've ever had egg on your face. Yeah, true story.
Well, we're done with Junior now.
Yeah, Junior. Okay, Junior, you're blocked. So along comes Andrew Alvarez, Mr. Genius, the resident genius. That's why you slice them before you nuke them. Same thing for Iran. At any rate, hi, Monty Howard. At any rate. It's a public service announcement. Don't microwave your eggs while.
Well, I mean, in all fairness to you, and Andrew's a little harsh because you probably were using the very first Amana radar range ever built.
Right, with the knob where you turn it.
The dials.
Has there ever been a less properly utilized tool than the microwave? I remember that when they first came out, or were first really made for the public, the Amana radar range.
They were $1,500 appliances back then.
And they came with a probe, and they came with so that people were like, I don't like putting something in, because people were like, put like an entire chicken in there, right? And then cook it, and it would still be kind of gray. So all meat cooked in the microwave is gray. It's disgusting. But then they had a way to brown it in the microwave. Oh my. And so, by the time we got one, it was It was the size of a Sony Trinitron. It basically demanded its own table in our kitchen, which was small at the time.
Yep.
My folks and I lived in a relatively small house, but it was like something you'd like. Hey, you want to come over for a cup of coffee? We could heat it up in our microwave because that's all you ever used it for was microwave popcorn, which might be the greatest invention since
Nah,
polio.
Jiffy Pop. Jiffy Pop still
With-
doing that thing on the old burner. That was always fun.
Yeah. Well, that's cheap. It is cheap entertainment for the kids.
Well, if you
Yeah.
can't microwave an egg right, there's no chance you got Jiffy Pop happening.
Torn Bill says they were the size of a small SUV. There's a lot of truth in that. Now, I will admit that
What was the Sony
Trinitron,
Yeah,
Sony
what is
Trinitron. So back in the day, Cody, I know
When
it's
a
hard-
20-inch TV was a big TV growing up, Cody.
Yeah, and a TV was nowhere. It wasn't shaped like what you see on the wall behind me. It was a huge box,
right?
and then it had a relatively small screen.
Sure.
I remember when the family down the street that had the 36-inch, now diagonally measured, the 36-inch color Sony television, and I mean, we're like, they're rich, and we thought that it was the greatest picture ever because to us, it was the greatest
Was
picture
yours colored?
I grew up with. Let's don't be racist about it. It was not a color television. It's not a colored television. Anyway, the television, the clarity on a black and white was much sharper.
Sure.
The contrast, if you will. But because it was a TV picture, the first color televisions that I remember, Sony was like the most clear. Whereas now you've got HD to the point that, like, who is the actress on Saturday Night Live that, like, not Tina Fey, the other one, nobody knew that she had a big scar on her cheek, remember? Until they came in with, like, HD televisions.
That was Tina Fey.
Yeah, she has a scar on her face that, yeah. John Paul says, is Brent a month away from a walker? No, I could be even closer.
It would take 4 people to move a TV back in the day.
Yeah, Scott Tonker says, our movers called it a Sony Triniton because of its weight.
I always used to laugh when I'd be watching Muhammad Ali because we had a black and white TV for a long time growing up. And, you know, Ali's in the white trunks, which was fair enough because you could see the color. You could, yeah. But they would tell you George Foreman in the red trunks. It's black and white.
Right. It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
no sense. But anyway.
Yeah. Lisa Poole says the TV used to be its own piece of furniture. No worry about it being so. What are you showing me? A TV?
I just want to know if that's what it looks like.
Sony Trinitron. Yeah. Now, isn't it interesting that
Grandmas used to crochet doilies for the tops of TV cabinets.
true
You
story?
can get it used for $53.20.
He's got a used one for $53.
Just go drive through Silver City. There's probably one on a curb somewhere.
I was thinking.
Well, by the way, it used to be an $800 television, and now $800 will buy you a 8-foot diagonal television. It's so big. I mean, you have to get a friend to go. It's not even heavy. It's so bulky. You have to have a friend to help you. Yeah, Brent Anderson says our first microwave back in the early 70s could have easily weighed 50 pounds.
Oh, easily.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you turn Ash down a little bit? We're getting complaints.
I don't notice it. I mean, I can turn Ash down a little bit, but
I lowered my mic here too on this end quite a bit. So
Cool.
I don't know.
Keep going.
just remain calm. Remain calm. Don't adjust your set if these colors don't look right.
It's color, not colored. Don't be
It's
racist.
color, not colored. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. You see where that lady in New York got arrested for talking about wanting to blow up the New York Capitol? I don't know if you saw that. They have, apparently it's undeniable. They've got audio and text of her both in English and in Arabic talking to her handlers, talking to co-conspirators about how she wanted to get into the New York State House, blow up the Senate chamber. She said she wanted to kill as many people as possible and hopefully destroy a lot of important documents. I mean, if you're
Wait a second. I thought the U.S. government wasn't allowed to spy on Americans.
Well, I'm not sure she's American. I'm not, and I get the sarcasm of your comment, but I do think it's interesting that they've got. I mean, like they're like, "Hey, we've got her." And I want to tell you something else. Did you know that? And I was like, tip of the cap to Joe Biden's administration, while the FBI was still somewhat floundering around under Biden in that 4 years. If you look at their top 10 most wanted people, the Biden administration did capture 4 of those people. Now, these are professional criminals who live on the lam, and the Biden administration got 4 out of the top 10 over the 4 years of Biden's administration. Kash Patel, the grossly inept, unbelievably unqualified to be FBI director, has very quietly captured 9 of the current top 10 most wanted fugitives from American justice in a little over a year. A little over a year on the job. He has moved other players into the most wanted list lineup by removing 9 of 10.
This is a white woman. She's a white woman who converted to radical Islam. You know, nobody ever converts to radical Christian and goes to blow things up, do they?
No, but they convert to radical Christianity when they get put in prison. That's when they find Jesus.
There's video of her going to Home Depot to buy the parts she needed to make the bomb that she was going to use to blow up the state capitol in Albany, wearing a burqa.
Yeah. Mostly peaceful religion.
I mean, I was trying to figure out who this woman was because unless you go to the New York Post, it's really hard to find any pictures of her. So I thought she was, without even knowing her name, I figured she was either a Muslim,
right,
from a predominantly Muslim country, or a black woman, because they never show the pictures of anybody who's not white anymore in any crime story committed. If you're white, your picture will be all over the internet and all over the media. If you're not white, they won't show you.
That's right. I saw the other day a guy on Twitter who thought he was making a relevant point. He had pictures of 6 of the main perpetrators involved in the Penn State cocaine ring.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And 5 of them were white males, mostly nerdy looking, and the 6th was a relatively handsome but at least partially black man. And of those 6 people, the guy put on there, worth noting, not one illegal alien in the bunch. And that's such a leftist ploy, right? You compare things that aren't comparable to try to make a point.
Well,
right? It's relative truth.
Yeah, that's where they are right now. Well, Americans commit crimes too. Yeah. And you know what?
Americans commit the majority of crimes. They do.
But you know what? The heinous crimes that they're committing, I don't like it. The fact that we let people out, Americans out on no bond, no cash bail, and then they go and the recidivism rates go up, their crime goes up. They go from doing, something that might be a borderline felony misdemeanor to a felony the next time because we're not stopping the crime. Well, jail isn't a deterrent. Well, you know what? If they're in jail, they're not committing any more crimes. So seems to work in some respect.
Well, it's interesting because I'm not really opining here, but I think I'm correct. There are more white people on government assistance than any other race.
Yeah.
There is more crime perpetuated on the United States by white people than any other race. but disproportionately not so percentage-wise. There's so many white people in the country. Let's say there's 100 murders a day, and 50 of them come from white people, let's say, and the rest is American Indian, Native, Asians, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos. The reality is that way disproportionately as a percentage of their population, the black race, unfortunately, leads all categories. There's just more sheer numbers of white people. If 1 out of 10 white people is on some type of government assistance, 3 out of 10 black people are on some type of government assistance. It's just liars figure and figures lie. I think that we're seeing a righting of the black ship. I think that we're seeing more and more educated black folks who are moving away from the carte blanche endorsement of the Democrat Party. I don't know. I think that in their skepticism and in their education, black folks have realized that communism does not favor them.
Or neither does the Democrat Party.
No, but black people, you remember I told you this. If we go communist, black people will be doing the majority of the work for a minority of the pay. That's just the way it'll be.
No, I disagree. They'll be systematic. Anybody who's not white and believes in communism will die. That's what they do.
Is that, yeah? Well, I mean, you've seen it. Yeah, nothing kills more people than communism, politically
Nope.
speaking.
You know what? Yeah, I saw an interesting stat the other day that since the fall of the Iron Curtain, global poverty has fallen to its lowest level ever since we started recording this stuff. Like a 40% drop in global poverty since basically the Soviet Union and all those Eastern Bloc countries disappeared. And what rose in its place? Capitalism.
I saw a deal the other day. It was from Bernie Sanders. And Senator Sanders said, is it more note? Are you sending me a note? So is this something you can't say on the air?
I don't know. Can I?
Turn Ash down some more? Man, Ash,
I don't know what's going on because I'm
not liking you today.
guess not.
But I'll tell you this. Bernie had pointed out, and I'm making this up, but 26 of 32 NFL owners are billionaires. 21 of 30 NBA owners are billionaires. 24 of 30 whatever Major League Baseball owners are billionaires. And Bernie says, this is not right. This is not right. And I thought to myself, I said, Self, how many people benefit from the proximity of an NBA franchise, or how many restaurants are around the Toyota Center in Houston? How many bars, how many hotels benefit from the city having that team? You see this all the time. They go, Bernie said, they're all billionaires, and yet these cities build their stadiums with taxpayer dollars, and then the people whose taxes were used to build the building can't afford to go to the games. Okay.
let me debunk this for a minute, because cities everywhere had been building these stadiums since the early 1900s, maybe the late 1800s for baseball anyway. Madison Square Garden, its current iteration, is what it is. But there has been a Madison Square Garden in New York for a very long time, long before anybody was owning franchises that cost billions of dollars. And before when Madison Square Garden was built, there was no NBA, there was no NHL. They didn't build it for that purpose. It was built for a lot of other things. The Westminster Kennel Club dog show's been there for 100 some odd years, right?
Yeah.
These were built as community type centers. and they've been, and over the years, a lot of them been allowed or retrofitted to accommodate basketball or hockey if they're in such a region or such a market. But it's a fallacy to think, but and I'm just some historical context here. Cities have been building these types of facilities for as long as cities have been around.
The Roman Colosseum.
Now, I do think the numbers are fudged when you talk about the economic activity that happens around these things. I mean, look at Minute Maid. It's when the Astros aren't playing, there's nothing happening around there.
Correct. I mean, I look at it and say this. When you just start thinking about all the families that are fed, from the hotelier to the caterer to the stadium worker to the tentacles that come off of a public facility, I'm not saying that's necessarily worth putting a bond in place for, $1 billion or whatever. But for a guy like Jerry Jones, for example, when he negotiated to move Jerry World out towards Arlington, the city studied the economic impact, and they decided on the abatements and or participation level they wanted to have, and that's what allowed that to happen. It's not like only Jerry benefits from that. So John Anderson had asked whatever happened to Timothy McVeigh. He actually blew up the the Murrah building.
The Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City.
In 95, he was executed by lethal injection in 2011. There are people, interestingly enough, that, and they might even tend to be on the left now. There are people who might say he was a patriot. I think what he did was terrible. There were children involved. He killed a bunch of kids. 168 people died in that bombing. It's etched in my mind. But
if you ever go to Oklahoma City, I've been to that memorial. It's
pretty
very moving.
Yes.
It's even more so at night. But when you actually see all the chairs there, a chair represents everybody that was killed, and the little chairs represent all the kids that were killed in the daycare that was there.
Yeah.
You have no soul and you have no heart if it doesn't move you to tears. Absolutely. I mean, it's just
Dyken Park is dead even when the Astros are playing. Peter Snivel says his father carved the memorial benches at the Murrah building. There you go. But it's interesting. I mean, you and I have talked about the ineffectiveness of protest and all that, but in an extrapolated view, I mean, again, condemning the act, Timothy McVeigh's act against our government, to him, I believe, was kind of like the Boston Tea Party, but it's just too much. You want to blow that building up on a Saturday when nobody's there, it's still dumb and it's still wrong and it's still something that's worthy of you being put in jail for. But to blow it up with a bunch of kids there is just it's just senseless.
It's evil. You're a tool of the devil at that point.
Amen. Peter McNally says stadiums are economic engines for all cities. And I agree, except, or I'll give you an example of one that's not. The Alamo Dome, inadequate now for any NFL franchise. Very difficult to justify. That's on the other side of 35, and it's just not good. By the way, there's still Patrick Strauss gave the best example. He said it's like when you're watching television and the commercials come on and the commercials are twice as loud as what you're watching. You're not loud to me, and Cody's not flinching over there, but I'm going to turn you down one more click unless you have a volume control.
I've turned it down about 50%, so I don't know where the issue is right now.
It's just your glowing personality.
And I've even pushed the mic a little further away from me. I mean, I haven't moved anything except for my mouse since I got this new equipment in here and set it up.
Did you have a lisp? I've only moved my mouse.
I said mouse.
Oh, mouse.
Okay. So I know we got off on a tangent, but I would like to know.
Not us.
Us, believe it or not. But going back to this idiot in Albany, New York, I want to know. I want to know who her handlers were. Who were the
Probably
ones?
some Arabs.
Well,
ISIS
where
was
where
around.
what mosque was she going to? What imam radicalized her?
And can we call a cruise missile in on that location? It's going to come to this. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that you're going to have, at some point, violent altercations between Islamists and normal, everyday Americans. It's going to happen. It's not Christian extremists that are going to get tired of this garbage. It's going to be Americans who say, that's it. I'm not. There was a time, I remember the commercial where the lady is walking down the street at night and she's clutching her purse and 3 people are coming at her in the dark. And the insinuation is, she's in an alley. The insinuation is that it's 3 black guys coming towards her. And it sparked the conversation of, if you're walking down the street and you see 3 black youths coming towards you, do you cross the street to avoid that head-to-head confrontation? And a lot of people said, yeah, I would. Why would I want to invite them to grab me, take my purse? And it's a racist assumption because, Ash, in this particular commercial that I remember well, they meet at a street light, and the 3 people that are walking along are all wearing Boy Scout uniforms. And it's talking about scouting builds good kids. And I get it, but the insinuation in the ad was, uh-oh, here come the 3 black guys, because it was, you couldn't see them at all. And uh-oh, she looks scared. She looks nervous. I think that Americans are getting to that point with the burqa wear. I'm not talking about your doctor. I'm not talking about your neighbor. I'm talking about the burqa wearing woman who's walking 3 steps behind her Islamist man in their equitable relationship that doesn't meet Western civilization standards for equity, inclusion, and diversity. So you're going to have a point where people say, I'm tired of this.
Well, I mean, and Andrew Alvarez says, according to a lot of videos he's seen on TikTok, and that, again, it may not be scientific data, but he's certainly seeing it. Even non-radicalized Muslims are being tired, are getting tired of the radicalized Muslims. And I go back to this Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, who's running for Congress in Arizona, who is a Republican, is a Muslim, doesn't believe in the radicalization and what's going on, absolutely believes that radical Islam is here to overtake America. I've listened to him talk on this, and I dare say it, and I don't know why I dare say it. I'm just going to say it, and there's really no reason for it. But if he did not have an R after his name running for office, the mainstream media in this country would probably be talking about it in such a way that,
they're all for him.
That, well, they would be what there would be stories about how everyday Muslims are not embracing the radical Islam.
Right. The media is not going to talk about it because he is
because he's a Republican. Instead, the New York Times focuses on a story like, I think there's one today. Let me see if I can find the headline. I haven't had a chance to read the story.
While you look, they would be holding him out as they hold James Tallarico out as a Christian. They would say, "Oh, if this particular Muslim candidate were a Democrat, the Main Street media would say, see, they're not all radicalized. This guy's a great guy. He's a Muslim. He's your friend." And that's fine. That's like having a docile snake. It doesn't mean that one day it won't bite you. I still stand by the idea that if you have an American Muslim and it comes time to fight for your freedom, do you think Do you think, as a listener, that American Muslim is going to stand by you and say, we are Americans, I'm fighting for our republic? Or do you think that Muslim is going to say, Viva ISIS, I am going to fight for my religion? And when your religion is your government, the Islamic theocracy, there is no separation of church and state. The state is the church. There are no equitable rights for women. There is no tolerance for the LGBTQ plus community. I mean, there are jokes that write themselves for people like me about that. I'm like going, where's my burqa? But I don't want subservient women in my life. I am for freedom of religion. You can worship a doorknob in this country and people might call you a savant. But that doesn't mean that you should have any control over how we run our government at all.
The New York Times headline, "The Rise of Islamophobia in Texas." I don't think it's a rise of Islamophobia. I think it's a rise of radical. I think it's concern about radical Islam. And when you have, again, let's dig into what just happened in Albany, because this woman is an American and was radicalized in this country. So how did that happen? And when you have video after video of imams in mosques that are known to radicalize Americans, calling for the destruction of this country and the caliphate, and how they're taking over.
Right.
But Texas is Islamophobic? No, and the New York Times is a history of ignoring things that go on. I mean, they had a reporter with a Pulitzer in the 50s for basically lying about the deaths that were going on under Stalin and in the Soviet Union in the 50s. Because Stalin was telling the world it wasn't happening, but there were enough, there were enough people there telling the stories of people being killed because they weren't considered communist enough or loyal enough to Stalin. And the New York Times just believed Stalin when he said, no, we're not killing anybody. We're not starving our people. Things are fine here in the Soviet Union. The guy wins a Pulitzer for that.
Yeah, no kidding. Looking something up for you.
I find it interesting, Dan Pat. Well, should we take a break and then we'll shift gears to something a little more interesting, or not maybe more interesting, but something that we haven't yet talked about because there's been enough other things to talk about. But last Friday, the state of Texas released their school report cards, and we'll get to that on the other side of this break.
There you go. USA Foundation Repair, USA Concrete Coatings. I looked at a really nice home yesterday. Small house, be a great rental opportunity for somebody. And it needed to be shimmed up. The back porch was kind of hanging off a little bit. All you have to do is call USA Foundation Repair. They'll come out. They'll jack the house up. Somebody will be inside. Okay, all the cracks line up. All the doors are open and closing freely. Then they'll put a couple of shims in there to hold it in place. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be surprised at. We live on a sea of floating gumbo in this region. It moves. It moves almost by design. So call USA Foundation Repair at 578-HOME and let them come and help you. Today's Chicken Fried Friday, the last day of the week to get into Veracruz Restaurant for the finest Tex-Mex fare in the region and the chicken fried steak that people rave about with the neon gravy. It is phenomenal. Get in today and enjoy both. You could have a chicken fried steak smothered in Veracruz queso and call it chicken fried steak Wedo. You would like it. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. That's Allen's go-to tow-to number. Reach out to them for all your towing needs. The big truckers do. The mothers who need a jump, Those of you that are taking kids to school early in the mornings, if you have auto trouble, get to the side of the road, call Allen's. They'll come out, secure the site, make it safe, and get you home safely. Went Electrical and Went Services for all your general electrical needs. They can hang a plug, they can change ballast, they can rewire a barn, they can wire a new structure. You get the point. They are master electricians. They can also install a Generac whole house generator that you will be glad you have. Peace of mind. And of course, brand us, Commander Cody in studio. We have a lot of fun with Cody, but Cody has a lot of fun helping his clients. If you need a website, if you need a presence, if you need to learn how to monetize Facebook, advertise on the internet, reach out to Commander Cody. And then right here, the offices at 205. We're above Greek's 205 restaurant, right in the heart of bustling downtown Victoria. Renovations always going on. This building leads the way. It's one of the prettiest buildings in town. And upstairs, we have some wonderful suites available. If you are interested in like an office for you and one person, or if you want an office by yourself, they have a wonderful, we call it the green room, but a wonderful lobby. You owe it to yourself to come by the offices at 205 and check it out. R.C. Slocum, Ash, before we get into schools.
Yep.
R.C. Slocum, 30-year overall coaching career, multi-decade administrative association with Texas A&M. He amassed a record of 123, 47, and 2 across 14 seasons from 1989 to 2002. The only appreciable era where the Aggies really, really competed with the Texas Longhorns, their most hated rival. RC orchestrated most of those teams, including a run in there where they won like 9 out of 10. I mean, it was amazing. The Aggies were on fire. Going to be immortalized, even more so. He's already deep in the hearts of all Aggies. But he is going to, they're going to unveil a statue of him on the College Station campus. And I think that's no more fitting individual.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah. And I think that's that might be as big a reason as any. I mean, he gave a lot of his life and the good, the bulk of his collegiate career to A&M, but I have not met a finer gentleman in college athletics than R.C. Slocum.
I agree. Touche, and good for R.C. Slocum. Congratulations to him and his family. Still lives in the College Station area, still plays golf quite often. He has battled some cancer issues, but he's also pushing 80. I'm certain he's got to be almost 80.
Well, and I think they're doing this at this point so that he can be honored while he's still alive. Because I think a lot of campuses wait too long to do these types of things, and
RC
then
will be 82 in November.
Yeah, and then nobody's around the person's not around to receive and enjoy the accolades if they like, but then nobody's really there to talk about their impact because they wait too long for these things and their impact is forgotten, or it gets even further along the way to find somebody who actually was coached by RC if you wait too long.
Jonathan Williams says Cody needs to do a better job of monetizing mine and your OnlyFans account.
I don't have access to those.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, you would be the second one. So it would actually be OnlyFans.
So Jonathan Williams, you make a solid point, and obviously an Aggie aficionado. R.C. Slocum is who a head football coach should always strive to be like. I don't disagree a bit. It is worth noting the Aggies fired R.C. Slocum. He did not resign. He did not quit. He was terminated.
In all my years in Victoria, R.C. Slocum used to come down and it's not what he told me. But he would always come and speak at the fundraisers that the local Aggies would have. He had no problem doing that. I don't recall another head football coach from A&M ever doing that. And he would always make time. And I was in radio full time at the time, and he would always make time to sit down and talk to me. It was pretty cool.
Men, we have a game to play today. It was great. Back in the day on 610 a.m., back when they used to do morning drive time radio, they had a guy that called in and he would do RC on a mobile. And it was the funniest thing ever because it's kind of like when we do Donald Trump, you talk like Trump. This guy could just sound just like RC. And they would say something like, you're playing Texas this week. What's going on? It's like 1998, and he go, well, they've got that Earl Campbell. And it's like, no, they don't. It was hilarity. And RC, I think, even called in once and talked to the guy. He had a conversation with himself. So, yeah, good stuff. Tell us about school ratings. Where does Victoria fall? That's all we care about.
A C rating, once again.
That's overall, right?
As a district, they're making progress. I think they're just under enough, I guess, an 80% mark or an 80 score to get to a B rating as a district. Showing some improvement. One thing that I noticed held true with the ratings with Texas or with Victoria that seemed to match the state is predominantly Black and predominantly Hispanic campuses tended to fare poorly on the assessments, and that held true for Victoria's campuses as well. And most of our success was at the elementary schools.
Well, there you go. Well, it starts at the.
Although I think the high schools, if I remember it, I'm trying to remember off. I thought I had saved all this data. I think they were both B's, which is better than it had been. But yeah, so and I know there's going to be critics. Well, you've got to get rid of it. But this is how we're measured. You have to play the game. It's kind of like your work performance. Work, right? When your boss reviews your performance at work, you've got certain standards. That's what you work to.
Yeah, 100%.
But
John Anderson asked if Victoria East and West have Powder Puff football games in a strange search for equity and inclusion. Bailey Zappi petitioning the UIL to come back and play quarterback for the East High School in their Powder Puff game. Says he'll wear a tutu. The NFL quarterback certainly, he's identifying as a female in this instance.
But I think it's interesting that these ratings came out last Friday. You can bet if the state of Texas was better than a C overall, they would have released this on a Monday when it could be talked about for a week, right? Instead, they kind of bury it on a Friday and it gets lost over the weekend. I mean, we're just getting to it a week later, and it's so typical. But the state isn't proud of that rating as a whole. The state isn't proud of where they are educationally.
Well, here's to me where it's disingenuous, okay? Like if Greg Abbott, who's been governor since 1947, starts talking about Texans lead the way in education improvement. He's a liar. What have you done? You've been there 20 years. You were, come on. I'm tired of that. No politician in Austin should take any credit for any improvements in our scores. Now, you're going to see what's going to happen. If the scores start going up, and this is a double-edged sword, I am for vouchers. Send your kid where you want to for school. What you're going to see is the scores are going to go up. It could be in part because the grading standards have gone down. I don't know. But you're going to see people wanting to come in and claim that, see, competition is good for the public school. And I think that maybe there's a group of parents out there in this current generation that are trying to find a way to educate their kids. So, yes, Katie Jackson, you are absolutely correct, friend. It is re-election season.
Well, what I want to see happen,
Jonathan Hall says he broke his back as a Powder Puff cheerleader.
What I want to see happen is I don't want to see expansion of the voucher program yet.
I don't either.
I want to see that they're measuring the success of it academically, and that 100%. These kids and they need to track these kids. The kids that are getting vouchers need to be tracked to see if they're graduating, if they're going to college, if they're going to get a trade, whatever they're going to do. There's got to be a way to track these kids and their successes. and also a way to compare that to the public schools and to see what's happening with them since the implementation of the voucher program. If not, it's a complete waste of money, and it turns out to be nothing more than corporate welfare for private schools.
Amen. I could not agree more. And I still think in the next session, you'll see the voucher program expanded. Folks, we've reached the top of the hour.
And I think if it does, I think that might be the end of some politicians' careers, because I think there'll be enough opposition to expanding it that it could be deadly. It could be detrimental to political
There you go.
careers.
Jonathan Williams says a lot of campaign donor money will push for expansion. I wonder how many state-approved curriculum people there are for the private schools now that the government is involved in. Folks, we've reached the top of the hour. Ash, tell them bye.
Bye, folks.
Folks, we will talk to you on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend. Be well, be safe, pray for our country, pray for our leaders, and we will talk to you then. Cody, say bye.
Adios.